Hey, it's Jag. What's a control surface and why do I need one? Do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
New studio gear day. Unboxing a control surface. Ordered it from Cosmo Music, my new favorite online music store. They can get you just about anything and they can get it for you in pretty short order. So shout out to Cosmo. Alright, I'm unboxing a Behringer X-Touch universal control surface for digital audio workstations. Want to kind of talk a little bit first about why I chose a Behringer unit. Behringer started out as a manufacturer of low-cost, kind of cheap gear, about 25 years ago. And they still carry a reputation because of that. But in the last years, they've started making some really, really great equipment. The X-Touch was well reviewed. I looked at a few other options, but the X-Touch seemed to kind of fit with my my needs, my requirements, and the features looked really good. It's got motorized faders, does transport control, does fader blocks, so you can change your scenes of your faders if you have a large project. A few years ago, I was looking for a good delay pedal and a good flanger pedal. The devices I ended up with were not made by Behringer, at least not directly. TC Electronic, very, very great company, make really awesome pedals, rack mount units, all kinds of studio gear, guitar gear, and they came out with a budget line of pedals. And I ended up buying the TC Electronic Profit delay. It's a digital delay, but sounds very analog. And their analog Thunderstorm flanger. This flanger, I love, well, both of these pedals, but this flanger is really amazing. I use it more as a chorus, and I can't find anything else that does what this does. Very shortly after I bought them, I discovered that Behringer had bought TC Electronic. I realized as I was editing this video that I said Behringer owns TC Electronic. That's not exactly right. Music Tribe is the parent company to Behringer and TC Electronic, as well as several other well-known manufacturers. Uli Behringer is the chair of Music Tribe, so at the end of the day, I still think everything is driven from the Behringer side of things. At any rate, I'm happy to say I've been working with the X-Touch for a little while now, and I'm really happy with it. The quality seems pretty good, and I will be doing a video where I go over the basic features and the basic use of it in my workflow. And that kind of concerned me for a bit, because I thought, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to cash in on the TC Electronic name? Is product quality going to go down, and they're just going to sell what they can sell and make their profit and get out? I'm happy to say it doesn't seem like that's what they've done. Not only are the TC products still very solid and very good, and they keep it as a separate brand, but the Behringer products seem to have improved. So that's why I thought I would give the X-Touch a shot for the studio. So why would I get a control surface? Why do I need a control surface? What is a control surface? I'm an old school guy. I grew up in studios back in the days of analog, when we used to run tape on reels, we used to patch cables into things, had massive consoles, and all of our gear was external. Everything was very expensive, very complex, if not complicated. The only thing I haven't really liked about working in a digital audio workstation is what they call working in the box. So in other words, you bring all of your sound sources in through an interface into your computer, and then once it's in the computer, you work on everything within the software. That's called working in the box. So you do your EQing, your post-processing, your editing, everything on the computer. That's great. It's a lot less expensive than things used to be. In terms of outboard gear, I really only use things to condition the audio signals before they go into the workstation. I rarely bring them back out into the analog domain to run them through external processors, for example. So most of my outboard gear is microphone preamps, tube compressors, all stuff designed to plug your live microphones into your audio interface into the computer, where the rest of your editing and mixing can be completed. The real issue with that for me is working in the box. You're working with a mouse and some keyboard commands and things, and you know, if you want to boost something, you have to grab the mouse, wander around on the screen, try and find the fader or the knob that you're trying to adjust. You click on it and you adjust it, and of course the mouse always jumps over and moves something else, and then you got to stop for, you know, sometimes 5 minutes and figure out, what did I just change, because I wasn't even looking, you know, and go back and try and figure out what you did. It's very disruptive to the process, at least for a guy like me who is really tactile and likes to work with real faders, real knobs, and real buttons. So that's where a control surface comes in. It lets you connect back into your digital audio workstation with a set of controls that sit in front of you that you can just move in the moment. So that's why I went with the control surface. So that said, let's continue with opening this box. Well packaged, nice. Documentation, stickers. Don't we all love stickers? Okay, power cord, USB cable. Well, this has a USB hub built into it, so yes, you plug it in, but it's also got some other USB ports on it, so you can plug other units into it, which is great. I can put in my iLock keys and some of the other things that I need to make some of my other software operate. All right, well, there you are. There's the X-Touch. So, nice, sexy piece of studio gear. On the back, we have the input connector for the IEC power cable, power switch, Ethernet. You don't have to go USB into your workstation. You can do over network control. We have two USB ports, a dual hub, and the USB output that goes to the computer. MIDI in and out control. You get 2 foot switches and an expression pedal control. So that's kind of really awesome too. You can plug a foot pedal in and use it for example for start stop transport of your tracks, start and stop punch in as well, recording. You also get expression pedal input, so you can use it to control various functions of your digital audio workstation. So that's the back of the unit. And then of course the front, we've got 8 channel strips plus a master fader control. They are all motorized, as I said, so as you switch scenes, either track by track or using track blocks, you can see where you're at. You don't have to do a catch-up where you have to move the fader to where it actually is before it starts changing. The fader's already where it is, and you can get a really clear visual representation of where things are, and you can have a really good idea, if you're trying to boost something, exactly how much you need to boost it. Number of control buttons. Each channel gives you solo, mute, record, arming, and of course the selection button. I will be doing a video on how to use this and how these functions all work. This is a brand new unit to me, so I did do a lot of research, read a lot about it, but of course until you use it you don't really remember what it all means. Rotary controls up at the top for setting gain. I also know that they have also multiple functions for things like panning. And then over on the far right side, a bunch of controls, track, pan, EQ, send, plug-in, instruments. So these things change what you're doing with the various strips. All kinds of automation controls, transport controls for the audio workstation, so stop, start, play, fast forward, rewind, record, and go to markers. We also have fader banks. So how fader banks work is, as I said, there's 8 strips here and a master volume. So the master volume always controls your master output. The 8 channel fader strips can be controlling any of the strips in your digital audio workstation. So let's say you have a 32 track project. You plug it in. I believe it initializes to controlling the first 8 input strips. You can press the fader bank button and it will automatically scroll over to the next 8 strips. In other words, input strip 9 through 16, etc., etc. So it's really quick and easy to get to your fader blocks. I kind of typically always set up my projects in a way that would dovetail really well with the fader block idea. Usually my first 8 input strips are for the drums, or at least the basic drum kit, so kick, snare, hi-hat, tom 1, tom 2, floor tom, overheads. The next set of strips in one of my projects will have the additional inputs for the drums, things like room mics, a distant kick mic. So those will go on those next 8, and usually the bass as well. I always like to keep the bass and the drums pretty close together. So that would be block 2. And then fader block 3 would be where I would put guitars, keyboards, and that will usually go on that next 8 blocks. And then the final 8 blocks will usually be all the vocal tracks. If you really want to make things as compact as possible, you go track by track by track by track by track and only assign things to tracks that are being used. I kind of like the idea of going in blocks even if I don't use a strip. It just makes it easier for me to think and to work. My workflow works better that way. One of the things I like about the X-Touch, this is what you would kind of consider the master unit. And what they have is extenders for this. So the extenders are more or less the same thing without the transport controls, the encoder wheel and all of that. It's basically just these 8 strips and the functions that they do. And what you can do is you can line up, I believe, up to 3 of those extenders along with this and use them simultaneously. In other words, you can have your 3 extenders plus the master in front of you like a regular 32 channel studio mixing console. I really like that idea, and that's my plan. If this works out for me, I'll be adding the extenders. I'll probably add at least 1 more in a couple months, maybe 2. Ultimately, I'd like to have 3. I just like being able to look at 32 tracks in a row. My whole mix is there. My workflow just really goes smoothly that way. So that's going to be my plan for this. So as I said, this is really an unboxing and a bit of an introduction to the unit and why I got the unit. I'm going to spend the next week or maybe 2 weeks working with this, learning how it works, and then I'll do a video on, how is this fitting into my workflow? Am I happy with it? So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Currently I have an amp build project going on. I'm building a Trinity Amps Triwatt. That's a series that will be ongoing for a while. I don't really have a schedule for posting these. I'd like to post a video at a minimum every 2 weeks. It might be a little ambitious to say every week. I do other things, so I don't have unlimited time to do this, but I'm hoping at least every couple of weeks I'll do a video. If I can do one every week, I definitely will swing that. So again, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Check the other links that I'll put down below here. Check out One Soul Thrust, my band. Consider supporting One Soul Thrust on Patreon. Thank you.